With UFC Fight Night, Lewis vs Spivac, I decided to give you guys my predictions for who I think will be walking away with a win. Natalia Silva vs Teresa Bleda. The first fight of the night and kicking off the prelims is a women's flyweight bout between 13-5-1 Natalia Silva and 6-0 Teresa Bleda. Coming into this fight, Bleda will have a 5-inch height advantage and she will also have a 6-inch reach advantage. When we look at the striking stats, Silva lands more significant strikes per minute but Bleda is the more accurate striker. Bleda also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute but Silva has the better defensive percentage. Then in terms of the grappling stats, Silva lands more takedowns per 15 minutes and she has the better takedown defense but Bleda does have the better takedown accuracy. For me, I am going to back Teresa Bleda to beat Natalia Silva due to her having the better stand-up game. Brady Hiestand vs Fernie Garcia. The next fight of the night is a bantamweight bout between 6-2 Brad Hiestand and 10-2 Fernie Garcia. Coming into this fight, Hiestand will have a 1-inch height advantage and he will also have a 4-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Hiestand does land more significant strikes per minute and he is also the more accurate striker. However, Garcia absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he has a better defensive percentage. Now looking at the grappling stats, Hiestand lands a lot more takedowns per 15 minutes but Garcia does have slightly better takedown defense. I personally think Brady Hiestand will comfortably beat Fernie Garcia if he utilizes his wrestling. Vanessa Demopoulos vs Maria Oliveira. The third fight of the night is a women's strawweight bout between 8-4 Vanessa Demopoulos and 13-5 Maria Oliveira. Coming into the fight, Oliveira will have a 4-inch height advantage and she will also have a 10-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Oliveira lands the more significant strikes per minute but Demopoulos does have the better striking accuracy. Demopoulos also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute but Oliveira does have the better defensive percentage. In terms of grappling stats, Oliveira averages slightly more takedowns per 15 minutes and she also has better takedown accuracy. However, Demopoulos does average at least one submission per 15 minutes. Personally, I think this could be a close fight but I think I am going to give the edge in this fight to Maria Oliveira over Vanessa Demopoulos. Ricky Turcios vs Kevin Natividad. The next fight on the prelims is a bantamweight bout between 12-3 Ricky Turcios and 9-3 Kevin Natividad. Coming into the fight, Turcios is going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Turcios lands more significant strikes per minute and is the more accurate striker. Both fighters actually absorb the same amount of significant strikes per minute but Turcios just about has the better defensive percentage. Neither man really goes for takedowns so I can see a lot of this fight taking place on the feet. I do believe that Ricky Turcios will beat Kevin Natividad comfortably in this fight. Vince Morales vs Miles Johns. Another bantamweight bout on the prelims is a fight between 11-6 Vince Morales and 12-2 Miles Johns. Coming into this fight, both men are coming in standing at 5 feet 7 inches but Morales will have a 4-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Morales lands more significant strikes per minute but Johns is the more accurate striker. Johns also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he also has a better defensive percentage. In terms of the grappling stats, Johns lands slightly more takedowns per 15 minutes and he also has better takedown accuracy and takedown defense. Personally, I think Miles Johns will have enough to overcome Vince Morales and win the fight. Jennifer Maia vs Marina Moros. The next fight of the night is a women's flyweight bout between 19-9-1 Jennifer Maia and 11-3 Marina Moros. Coming into this fight, Moros will have a 3-inch height and reach advantage. When we look at the striking stats, Moros lands the more significant strikes per minute but Maia is the slightly more accurate striker. Moros also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute but Maia has a slightly better defensive percentage. Then in terms of the grappling stats, Moros lands the more takedowns per 15 minutes but Maia has the better takedown accuracy and takedown defense. Personally, I am going to give the edge to Marina Moros over Jennifer Maia. Charles Johnson vs Zhalga Zhumagulov. The feature fight on the prelims is a flyweight bout between 11-3 Charles Johnson and 14-7 Zhalga Zhumagulov. Coming into this fight, Johnson will have a 5-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. Looking at the striking stats, Zhumagulov lands more significant strikes per minute, but Johnson is the more accurate striker. Johnson also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute, and he also has the better defensive percentage. Then when looking at the grappling stats, Zhumagulov lands more takedowns per 15 minutes and he also has better takedown accuracy, but Johnson has the better takedown defense. In my opinion, I think Charles Johnson will beat Zhalgas Zhumagulov, as I can see this being a stand-up fight where Johnson should have the edge. Jack Della Maddalena vs Danny Roberts. The first fight on the main card is a welterweight bout between 12-2 Jack Della Maddalena and 18-6 Danny Roberts. Coming into the fight, Roberts will have a 2-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Maddalena lands the more significant strikes per minute and he is also the more accurate striker. Maddalena also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he also has a better defensive percentage. When it comes to the grappling stats, Roberts lands more takedowns per 15 minutes and he is more accurate as well when it comes to takedown, but Maddalena does have the better takedown defense. Personally, I think Jack Della Maddalena will beat Danny Roberts, as both men prefer to stand and that's where Maddalena will have the advantage. Andre Fialho vs Muslim Salikhov. The next fight of the night is a welterweight bout between 16-5 Andre Fialho and 18-3 Muslim Salikhov. Coming into the fight, Fialho will have a 1-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats for both men, Fialho lands slightly more significant strikes per minute, but Salikhov is the more accurate striker. Salikhov also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he also has the better defensive percentage. Then when looking at the grappling stats, Salikhov lands more takedowns per 15 minutes, he has the better takedown accuracy and takedown defense. Personally, I am going to back Muslim Salikhov to beat Andre Fialho, as he has the better all-round game. Chase Sherman vs Waldo Cortes-Acosta. The next fight of the night is a heavyweight bout between 16-10 Chase Sherman and 8-0 Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Coming into this fight, both men will stand at 6 feet 4 inches and both men will have a reach of 78 inches. When looking at the striking stats, Sherman lands slightly more significant strikes per minute and he is the more accurate striker as well. However, Acosta absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he also has the better defensive percentage. Neither man attempts takedowns in their fight, so I think we should expect to see a stand-up fight. Personally, I am going to back Waldo Cortes-Acosta to beat Chase Sherman down to his better defense. Kennedy Nzechukwu vs Ion Cutelaba. The next fight of the night is a light heavyweight bout between 10-3 Kennedy Nzechukwu and 16-8-1 Ion Cutelaba. Coming into the fight, Nzechukwu will have a 4-inch height advantage as well as having an 8-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Nzechukwu will land just slightly more significant strikes per minute and he is just the slightly more accurate striker as well. However, Cutelaba absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute, but Nzechukwu has a slightly better defensive percentage. When looking at the grappling stats, Cutelaba lands more takedowns per 15 minutes and he also has better takedown accuracy, but Nzechukwu does have the better takedown defense. Personally, I'm going to back Ion Cutelaba to beat Kennedy Nzechukwu because of his wrestling. Derek Lewis vs Sergey Spivac. Finally, in our main event of the evening, we have a heavyweight bout between 26-10 Derek Lewis and 15-3 Sergey Spivac. Coming into the fight, both men are going to be the same height, but Lewis will have a 1-inch reach advantage over Spivac. When looking at the striking stats, Spivac lands the more significant strikes per minute as well as being the more accurate striker. Lewis does however absorb fewer significant strikes per minute, but Spivac has the better defensive percentage. When looking at the grappling stats, Spivac lands a lot more takedowns per 15 minutes as well as also being the more accurate when it comes to takedown, and he also has the better takedown defense also. Personally, I think Sergey Spivac should be able to win this fight quite easily, as I think he will have too much for Derek Lewis to overcome. Thanks for watching my UFC Fight Night, Lewis vs Spivac predictions, and I hope you enjoyed.